Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our first virtual town hall of 2021. Today is Wednesday, January 6th. So thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. I had hoped to deliver a very positive, uplifting New Year's message, but given today's incidents, today's assault on democracy, an attempt to undo the will of the people, this reminds us of how much work we have ahead of us. So I hope that you've had a healing and restorative year. You had a healing and restorative holiday break, because clearly we have a lot of work to do. While it's 2021, we're still dealing with the impact of the virus. The virus is still here, and I fear that we have a long road ahead of us before everyone is able to get their vaccine. I know Chief Altman is going to speak about vaccines, so I'll let him speak on that. But before moving on to the numbers, I want to talk about the constitutional imperative for Congress to reconvene and continue the final step of selecting the president of our country. So my thoughts and prayers are with all the congressmen, and I hope that they're able to get to their duties tonight and finalize the process. I'm also thinking about the people of Washington, D.C., who've had all these visitors come and unleashed violence on their communities. So our thoughts are with them. All right, moving on to the numbers. Today's numbers in Ohio, we're at 742,817 cases. In the county, we're at 10,336 numbers. As you know, in the village, we're no longer getting our daily updates because the numbers are just too many to report out to all the municipalities. So we should behave as if the virus is very active in our community and is spreading rapidly. So please continue to take all the precautions that you've taken. We've been at this for too long, so we cannot let up. The finish line, it's in sight. I know we're all eligible to get vaccines, and it's going to be a while before the general public has it, but the vaccine is being distributed. Folks are getting vaccinated, so let's keep at it. Let's keep doing all the preventative measures. On the numbers, in the last 24 hours, the state had 7,814 cases. That's significantly higher than the 21-day average, which has been 7,526. What that indicates to me is, yes, we're seeing those increase in the numbers due to the holiday breaks and people being out and about and having activities that they perhaps shouldn't be having. I fear that the full effect of the holiday break is going to be visible in the cases throughout the week and possibly next week. I've got another announcement. As I want to remind the general public that the curfew by the governor's order has been extended through January 23rd. So the curfew is still in place, and that is curfew starts at 10 p.m. and goes through 5 a.m. On to announcements. I'm happy to report that our community has been able to coordinate rapid testing for Yellow Springs community, particularly frontline workers. And that testing is being done at the fire station Tuesdays and Saturdays. So we've got a slide up on the screen here that you should see. You should be able to see. Next testing is Saturday from 8:30 to 10:30. It's important that you register. Link to the registration is on the graphic there on your screen. So please go onto that site if you're a frontline worker and register. And you must select the appropriate site. So pick that Yellow Springs site on that pull-down menu. Also, there's a requirement for you to present documentation, and that is to bring a proof of ID residency and a document such as a letter of reference or a pay stub of your employment in Yellow Springs and or in the township. All right. On other news, we resumed the Learning Center here at the John Bryan as children have started to return to school online. We have reopened our Learning Center to ensure that we are providing a safe and conducive learning environment for students. I'm happy that we're able to resume those activities. You might have noticed that the Wi-Fi in the downtown is up and running, so please utilize that service. I'm also happy to announce that the work to connect Corey Street Apartments and Hawthorne Apartments with public Wi-Fi, that's well underway. So we hope to have a formal announcement in the coming week on that. And now we'll open the floor to my colleagues. Chief Altman, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Josue, and thank you to everyone tuning in. Miami Township Fire Chief Colin Altman coming to you live from my office this evening on what has turned out to be a very dark day for our nation and our democracy. It is heartbreaking to witness what's happening in DC and what has happened in DC. And I don't care what party you subscribe to, but it is not acceptable. And we are better than this. The promise of America tells us we're better than this. And that's why my mother came to this country, and that's why my father's parents came to this country, to escape stuff like that. So I'm reminded of the line that's up at the 9/11 Memorial Museum in New York City that says, "In darkness, we shine brightest." So let's hope that that is true and that we pull together and get through this crazy period and deal with all the other issues that we have to deal with. Part of that, of course, is COVID. It's still here. And it's, well, frankly, if you watch the news, it's out of control. It's everywhere. As Josue mentioned, we no longer get daily numbers and counts from public health because, frankly, they're overwhelmed and they're just telling us it's everywhere. And it is. It is. The number of patients that we encounter now who have COVID positive diagnoses, or when we take them to the hospital, they're diagnosed positive with COVID, it's probably closing in on 30% of our patients. So it is everywhere. We need to continue taking all the precautions that we have done. I think there is a lot of kind of COVID complacency coming out, and also just a COVID, like, enough with the COVID. People not wearing their masks like they should and going to gatherings and that kind of thing. But this is not the time to drop our guard. This is the time to keep going and keep doing what we were doing and redoubling our efforts. COVID is deadly, and we cannot allow it to destroy any more of our community than it's been raging through. So to help us with that, as Josue said earlier, we partnered with the Village and with the Yellow Springs Community Foundation to provide a space here for COVID testing for Yellow Springs and Miami Township public-facing frontline employees. So we're talking about the people who work in our restaurants. We're talking about the people who work in the shops downtown and at Tom's and other businesses here in Yellow Springs and Miami Township, because they need to know. We need to know. They need to be safe. So we get them tested. They come in, they drive in the parking lot. It's all done outside, and it works really well, courtesy of the donors to the Yellow Springs Community Foundation and the foundation. And we're exploring other avenues for testing opportunities. We get a lot of phone calls here at the fire station asking about testing. Remember, we're not doing the testing, so you can't just drop in anytime and have us test you because we're not performing those tests. Yellow Springs Community Foundation did put out a listing. So if you're looking for rapid testing, the latest now seems that the little clinic at Kroger on Dayton Yellow Springs does rapid testing. Cedar Care Pharmacy in Cedarville and Bar Pharmacy in Xenia all do rapid testing. There's been a lot of question about, is rapid testing as good as the PCR, where they go in and they poke your brain. And there are a lot of studies now that show that it is just about as good results, and it does provide more safety for the person who's giving you the test. Because if you've had a PCR, you know that Q-tip goes through your nostril all the way back into this big thing back here called your nasopharynx. It is very uncomfortable, and it does typically trigger someone to sneeze, cough, or swat away. So if you're the nurse doing the test, there's some risk for them. So the rapids work out pretty well. We encourage all the frontline workers here in Yellow Springs and Miami Township who are eligible to come Tuesdays and Saturdays. That's what it is. Tuesdays and Saturdays, currently 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Make an appointment and come get tested out in the parking lot in the comfort of your own car, bicycle, or sneakers, whatever you may have. Also vaccines. This is the other thing that's come out. My staff started receiving vaccines on December 23rd, which is nice. We're in Tier 1A, which are frontline EMS and healthcare workers. So far, a majority of my staff have received their vaccines. I've got, I think, 6 going tomorrow for more. And then it'll slowly work through. There have been some problems, unfortunately, and it's not public health's fault and it's not ODH's fault. It's a lot of stuff coming from the federal government. The state doesn't know how many vaccines doses they are receiving until they open the box. So it's kind of like a mystery Christmas. They open up a case and there may be 150,000 doses or there may be 20. That's what happened to our county. They were expecting 3,000. They opened up the box, so to speak, and there was only 300. So it's out there. It's coming. Just be patient. Everyone will get their vaccines. There's a light at the end of the tunnel here where a new administration's coming in, hopefully with some better plans. So, but remember, just getting your vaccine alone does not excuse you from wearing masks. We're still wearing our masks here in the firehouse, even though the majority of my guys have had at least the first dose of the Moderna. So we still have to keep doing all the same stuff so that hopefully maybe by this summer, we can get back to some sense of normalcy. And I can go on my delayed family trip to Colorado. So please think of me, if nothing else. Just do the right thing, wear your mask, socially distance, get a vaccine when it comes, especially if you work in a nursing home. I'm not pointing out the Friends Care here, but I was shocked when the governor announced only 40% of nursing home employees statewide were accepting the vaccine. So we need to get those numbers up, people. We need to get those numbers up. So anyway, that's it. I hope everyone had a happy and safe New Year. I have to say, as much as I love the Yellow Springs New Year celebration, this was the first time in 4 years that I didn't have to work New Year's Eve. So it was actually kind of nice. So we'll see what happens next year. But anyway, without any further ado, back to you, Josue.
Thank you, Chief. And now we will hear from Sergeant Watson. Sergeant Watson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. I wanted to put a reminder out there because we've had several calls to the police department regarding the expiration date of driver's license, identification cards, and vehicle registrations, especially due to the ongoing pandemic. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed Ohio House Bill 404, which extends the expiration date of everyone's driver's license, their identification card, and vehicle registrations now to July 1 of 2021. So everyone has until July 1st of 2021. The BMV is asking that what you can do online, please do online. And you will get your registration through the mail. You can take care of the majority of it by doing that. Also, the date for the new driver's license in order to fly, that was also extended until the end of 2021. I believe it was October of 2021, but I could see that being extended as well. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to call the police department or give me a call. I will be there tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Other than that, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay safe so we can get Colin out to his vacation.
Thank you, Sergeant Watson. I see that Florence Randolph has joined us. Florence, do you want to remind us about your work on the utility and rental assistance? I know that we're running a bit low on funds now, and so this may be our last message before our current funding is fully utilized.
Yes, thank you, Josue. As of today, we have issued $50,404.01 of help to the township and village of Yellow Springs. We were originally given $20,000 each for utility and rent, and we spent that quickly. And then we got another 15,000, and we got another 1,000, and that brought us to a total of 56,000 total. I spoke with Chris Mucher last week, and there is another 3,800 coming. And I have on my desk right now outstanding $16,876.97 worth of requests, and these all came in December. So it's bleak. We'll be able to fulfill some of those, but at this point, I am waiting till the funds are actually there, and then we will prioritize the ones that are left. Some people have gotten the maximum funds of $1,000 for each rent and utilities first go around, and then they came back for more money. And so they're just people. I'm getting calls from outside of Yellow Springs. I'm referring everybody to the CAP website. They are now up and running to acknowledge your receipt of your application, but no responses yet. That's all I have.
Thank you, Florence. We're going to get together and find ways of being able to assist people beyond the funding that we currently have. Thank you for all that you're doing. Joining us tonight is also Marianne McQueen, Vice President of Council. Marianne, thank you for joining us. Oh, Marianne, you're on mute. Okay, we're going to give Marianne a second or two to hop on.
Okay, can you hear
All
me
right, there
now?
you are. Yep,
Okay.
hear you now.
I had to unmute in a different way than I'm used to. So good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Ann, I'm Vice President of Council, and Brian Hausch, who's Council President, could not be here tonight and asked that I step in just to give a few words about our concern at the national level, and in particular, what happened at the Capitol today. So myself, this afternoon, I was taking care of my granddaughter who was napping, and I turned on the television for a while while the mob, and I guess I would call it a mob, was crashing into the Capitol building. And when she woke up, I turned the television off. Of course, I turned the television off because I thought a 3-year-old does not have to see this sort of thing at our national government. She wouldn't totally understand what was happening, but she would certainly, I think, understand the anxiety that was being expressed by the reporters. And so if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling afraid, angry, confused, disappointed, all of those feelings, I think it's very understandable. And unfortunately, when we have a demagogue as President of the United States, and we have politicians who support that person, and we have media that supports the lies that that person says, then we have people who believe those lies. And for the most part, I think that the people who were at the Capitol were people who truly believed the lies that our president and some of the media have been putting out. It's very unfortunate, and clearly we have a lot of work to do, especially at the national level. I think one thing that the pandemic and that everything that's happening at the national level and that isn't happening at the national level, one thing it has exposed is the strength that we have at the local level. And I think anyone in our community can see how strong a local representative democracy and a community can be. I think also we've seen during this so-called election fraud investigations that at the state level, there's also that strength. And truly, the strength that we have is at the local level and is at the state level. So I think we can be proud of ourselves in that regard. And even though we clearly have some situations that are probably going to take some time to work themselves out in our country, given the divide that we have and given the ease of misinformation that we have, I'm going to jump on what Colin said, that we are better than this. And while there is a minority of people who are going to continue probably to do some of the things that they've been doing, most of us are good, solid people who want to live in peace with each other, and we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And now we will hear from Mayor Pam. Mayor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Josue. As always, it is my pleasure to be a part of this event. So I want to start tonight with an announcement that I was actually asked to make by the local Bureau of Motor Vehicles regional representative, Darlene Jones. And Darlene contacted those of us who administer mayor's courts and other court venues in the state and asked that we make an announcement about the following. People who may have suspended licenses. Now, I've got a quick announcement about that, but I realize those of you watching this town hall may well not have a suspended license, but perhaps you know someone who does. So this is information you can share with your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your granny, whomever. If your license is suspended in the state of Ohio, and we do see quite a few of these in mayor's court, it's one of our most common traffic violations to deal with folks who have suspended licenses. If your license is suspended, you can go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles site, www.bmv.ohio.gov, and read about the reinstatement fee amnesty initiative that they currently have and see if you're eligible or someone you know and love is eligible. There's a form online that you can print out. If your license has been suspended, you should have automatically received a letter from the BMV about this. But what Clerk Elise and I have found in the mayor's court is that a lot of times people move. Their locations have changed and these letters don't catch up with them. So that's why we wanted to make sure to do a verbal announcement tonight, at least locally, strength of local government, and make sure that everyone's aware of this. So if your address has changed and you have a suspended license, or even if your address hasn't changed, we want you to be aware of this amnesty. What this allows is for you to contact the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, see if you're eligible. Fines will be reduced. Fines could be waived. If you have a commercial driver's license, a CDL, this does not apply to you. You are not eligible, and you do have to show proof of insurance. You must also be a first-time participant in the Amnesty Fee Initiative. This used to be a periodic event with the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, but now it's permanent. This is the most important part. You know, Mary Ann was just talking about the strength of state and local governments, and here's something coming down from our state because they want everyone to be a legal driver. So, and we all know how fees start and can mount up. You get a fine for this, and therefore you're kicked out of that, and you have to pay for that, and before you can go back to get this. And it just becomes an endless chain. So this is a permanent program in Ohio now because we want our drivers to be driving legally. Please take advantage of this if you're eligible, and please share the word with those that you know that may say, oh, I can't drive because my license is suspended. Your fees could be reduced. You could have a payment plan, or they could be completely waived based on your financial situation. So let's share that good news locally being passed down from our state of Ohio. Second announcement, second thing I'd like to say on today is as we read we heard about a national Capitol building being under lockdown as protesters break out. One is shot. Trophies from some lawmakers' offices are carried off in a desperate coup attempt. This wasn't some third world country down in South America or Central America or something. This was in our own country. This was in Washington, D.C. Josue, Colin, Marianne have already talked about this directly. And I too went down that rabbit hole for a while this afternoon when I first heard about it. One thing that pulled me out was a quote that I read that I grabbed it right away because I wanted to share it with you tonight because it really unified so many elements of what's been going on locally in Yellow Springs with things that we have been dealing with, we have been talking about, we have been emphasizing through our Black Lives Matter marches, through the awareness that's going on in various aspects of our community, through our COVID attempts, through our town halls, through our council meetings, and what's said. Listen to what Congressional Whip James Clyburn said at 5:59, about an hour and a half ago. He said the following. This pulled me out of my rabbit hole, and I hope it helps you as well. I have faced violent hatred before. I was not deterred then, and I will not be deterred now. Tonight, Congress will continue the business of certifying the Electoral College votes. James Clyburn, thank you for your words. And my cohorts here tonight, from Philip and Sean and Florence and Vicky doing the signing and those behind the scenes. Thank you so much for emphasizing the local aspect of our community and our desire to bring you the latest, not only with COVID, but this whole web of what's going on around us right now. We have a very strong local government. We have a very strong local community foundation, and we are there for you together. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in or for watching this on recorded time delay, and we really appreciate you doing that. Josue, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. All right, we will now open the town hall for questions. And I believe we have one question, and that's for all of us, but particularly Colin. Are tests being held every Tuesday and Saturday?
Yes, for now. I know we are scheduled for Saturday, and I believe we are also scheduled for next Tuesday. A lot of it obviously depends on the availability of funding through the Community Foundation. And again, we just want to urge everyone who's eligible to come out and get tested. Just because you got tested once and you were negative doesn't mean you shouldn't get tested again. So it's easy. It's not the scary brain poke one. It's just a little like flick, and you'll know. They'll call you like in 15, 20 minutes or text you or something. So yeah, this Saturday, and I'm pretty sure next this coming Tuesday, and then we'll see. I assume it's going to continue, but that's up to the foundation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Colin. And there's certainly a team effort. The village and the village council made a strong commitment to the tune of a little over 18,000 to help assist with rapid testing and help our business community and local residents in our recovery efforts. So, and I know others have pitched in, and so I'm grateful for Community Foundation and others that have been able to make this possible. Thank you, Colin. Any more questions, Philip? Okay. All right. Well, there aren't any additional questions. So I want to thank you, colleagues, for joining me tonight. I want to thank you for watching and tuning in. And we know there's a lot of work ahead of us, but we'll do this together. Thank you.